Over the course of its now 4-film run, the modern Planet of the Apes series has introduced tons of new, great characters to the franchise, several of which have become beloved by many, and I'm here to give you my top 10 favorite of them all. If you like what I do here and want to share your support, be sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. Enjoy the video. And welcome back to Ape Nation, your #1 source for all things Planet of the Apes on YouTube. My name is Josh, and today I am giving you my top 10 favorite characters in the rebooted Planet of the Apes film franchise. This consists of the 4 films released from 2011 until now, which are Rise, Dawn, War, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I love all 4 of these movies, as well as many of the characters in them, and so what better way to talk about the ones I love most than to rank them all 10 through 1. Before I actually get to the top 10 though, there are a good handful of characters that I really admire, and I wanted to get to them real quick first. So with all that out of the way, let's get started and kick things off with a handful of honorable mentions. First up, we have Malcolm from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, a character that I think is great and kind of underrated and one of the better human characters in the franchise. Just couldn't get him to the top 10. Then Blue Eyes, another character, same deal, I really love from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, just couldn't get into top 10. Next is Will Rodman from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Not quite top 10 worthy, but I thought he was worth a mention because without this character in that first movie, the story would not have played out the way it did. Then with just a few more left, I have Red from War for the Planet of the Apes. This is, I think, a really underrated character who I love a lot, and especially after I rewatched War recently, I grew even more of an appreciation for this character, but again, just could not crack into the top 10. And then finally, the last 2 I have are both Suna and Anaya. I think these are really fun characters. I'm excited to see where they take them in the next movie. I'm excited to see them hopefully get a little more screen time and maybe a little more development, but I love their relationship with Noah, and I think the 2 of them paired with Noah make for a great trio, so that is why they are also among my honorable mentions. Now with that out of the way, moving on to number 10 on my list, and that would be Proximus Caesar. This is the villain from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I really enjoyed this character a lot. I do wish we'd got more of him in the movie, but I enjoyed the hell out of what we got from him. I think he's a really entertaining villain. I think he's also a really well done allegory for corrupt leaders and people who twist ideologies in history for their own gain. That was kind of the point of the character, and I think they executed that really, really well. He's also very charismatic with some already iconic lines.
Say his words! Say his words! What a wonderful day!
This has already become a meme over the last few months, and it's going to continue to grow stronger. Also, just Kevin Durand, he's so charismatic and he's so fantastic in the role. You just see how much fun he's having, even through motion capture. I think he does a great job, and so I think Proximus Caesar is a great villain. I think he's a really fun character. I enjoy him a lot, and that is why he is number 10 on this list. Coming up next at number 9 is the Colonel from War for the Planet of the Apes. I think this is a really great character, almost underrated I'd even say, because I think a lot of people dismiss this character as just a one-note mustache swirling bad guy, but I don't think he's that at all. I think Woody Harrelson is fantastic in the role. I think he's really terrifying as a villain, and I think the character himself is really menacing, really well written, and has some, I think, well realized motives for a villain. He's a great parallel to extremist leaders who take advantage of worst case scenarios and exploit others, and I think he's a perfect foil to face off against Caesar in his final movie. I think the Colonel is a really scary villain. I think he is someone who you can take seriously, who you can also empathize with at least a little bit, or at least understand some of where they're coming from, and that is why he is number 9 on my list. Coming in at number 8 is Rocket. I think Rocket is a really loyal friend with such a strong heart, and that's a lot of why I love him, and that's why I think he works so well as a friend to Caesar and as a member of that trio with Caesar and Maurice throughout the trilogy. I think the 3 of them, because of that loyalty and because of that strong heart, makes him all that much more lovable. I think he also just has a really great arc from enemies to allies with Caesar in Rise. That entire journey of where he starts to where he ends up, I think it's really cool. I think it's moving in a way, and also he's just able to make you care and feel empathy for him with no dialogue. He's one of the only main character apes in the entire Caesar trilogy that never has any real dialogue. He doesn't ever get a chance to speak. You still care for him and you still feel a lot of empathy for him, so I think he's a really great character. I wish maybe we gotten a little more of him, especially in Dawn, but overall I love Rocket, and that is why he is coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 on my list is Raka. Raka is a character from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, of course, and I think the fact that he's already iconic among the fan base speaks volumes. He is instantly lovable, he's wise, he's humble, and he also brings a really good sense of humor to the entire thing. I think he is one of the funniest parts of Kingdom, and it's well used humor, it's well written humor that works with the story and with the tone and with other characters.
We will name her Nova. We name them all Nova.
Peter Macon is perfect in this role, and he's able to do this really great thing where he can portray both this kind and gentle nature to the character, but he also is able to be strong, and he's also has this leadership quality to him, and those two sides of him work really well in forming this character that you instantly love so much, and he just has such a great, vibrant, charismatic personality. And he also has a really great dynamic with Noah that I really enjoyed watching in Kingdom. So I think Raka's a really great character. I even wish we could have gotten a little more of him than we did, but I thought he was great with what we got, and that is why he comes in at number 7 on my list. Coming in at number 6 is Buck from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I think this character, despite the fact that he only gets to be in one movie, is so memorable, and I think that again speaks volumes to how great of a character he is. His introduction in Rise is fantastic. I think he's also really well established as such a loyal, strong-hearted character within minutes of meeting him in that movie, and he has a really moving story in Rise and a beautiful dynamic that's developed with Caesar. I think the friendship and the bond between those two that you get to see explored in that movie before he dies at the end is really well done, and I think he deserved to be in more movies. He's someone who was loyal to Caesar, and he stood up for what was right, and he sacrificed himself in the end, and I think he was just ultimately someone you could love and root for from the second you were introduced to him all the way to the end, and that is why for me Buck comes in at number 6. Number 5 on this list is Noah. Noah, I think, is a really compelling new protagonist who was only just introduced in Kingdom, but he proves himself worthy of the franchise's legacy in his first movie. I think O&T gives a quiet but really charismatic performance, and the character I think just cares a lot about others and is really empathetic, who ultimately is just very easy to root for from the first few minutes you meet him. He also has a lot of fun and really emotionally resonant relationships with other characters like Suna and Anaya, or his mother, or with May, or with Raka, and I think all of those continue to build to what I think is a really strong lead character who I'm excited to see in the future of this franchise, and that is why Noah comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Bad Ape. I think this is a character who I understand why some people might not like him, but for me and my taste and for what I look for in a great character, I think this is exactly the kind of character you want when it comes to comedic relief. It's someone who's still a very real person, someone who is emotionally resonant. I think that Bad Ape has such an emotionally moving backstory that makes him easy to root for.
I had child.
Steve Zahn, I think, is just perfect in this role. His voice, his mannerisms, all contribute to making something that I think is so unique to the franchise and unique to specifically War, and sticks out in the tone of that movie, but also works really well with the tone of that movie. He's hilarious, but he's also heartbreaking at the same time, and he fits in really well with the trio of Caesar, Maurice, and Rocket. This is a fantastic character, and another one that I wish we could have gotten more of, but he was great in that one movie, and I loved every second we got of him on screen, and that is why he is number 4 on this list. Coming in at number 3 is Maurice. Maurice is just such a loyal friend to Caesar from the very start all the way to the very end, and I think that alone is why so many people love him. He's also just really wise and a great ally to Caesar and the other apes. He's a great co-leader in a way, and he's easy to love from the moment that you meet him in Rise. And something that I also love about him, and I think this is also a big reason why a lot of people do love him, is that he is this very gentle and kind and soft-spoken kind of soul, but he can also be a badass when he needs to be. He can take charge, he can be menacing, and he can be a real leader when he needs to get stuff done. But he is such a kind, gentle, warm character that again is very easy to love, and I think that is part of what makes him and Caesar such a great duo. And so I think Maurice is a fantastic character. I think there's a reason that he is a fan favorite, and that is why he is my number 3. Coming in at number 2 on my list is Koba. Koba is, I think, undoubtedly the best villain of the entire franchise. He's such an incredibly well-written character with a very emotionally moving and tragic character arc that he goes through, and Toby Kebbell gives one of the best performances in the franchise, and he's at times even better than Andy Serkis in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think the performance that he gives really goes a long way in driving the anger and the menace of that character, but also the empathy and the charisma of the character, because Koba is able to go from charismatic to sympathetic to terrifying all in one movie.
Caesar loved humans more than apes. More than your sons.
This is a really fantastic character. There's a reason that people love him. There's a reason that there are so many memes made about him. And there's a reason that people always lean towards Dawn as their favorite of the trilogy because of this villain, because of the character, and because of the story that he provides and the foil that he is to Caesar. And so I think he's an incredibly well-realized character, a great villain, has a great arc, and that is why he is number 2 on this list. And finally, coming in at number 1, and this is not going to be a surprise to anybody, you probably already all knew this before you even clicked on this video, but nonetheless, number 1 is, of course, Caesar. Caesar is arguably one of the greatest movie characters of all time, if not in the last 2 decades. He has one of the best character arcs ever put on screen throughout the entire trilogy. Andy Serkis is beyond brilliant in the role in all 3 movies and transcends what was possible with performance capture acting at the time. The character is such a noble leader who leads with compassion and strength, but also has flaws that he has to overcome that shape his journey throughout the entire trilogy. And he's also, again, another one of these characters who's so easy to root for from beginning to end. Once you are introduced to him, even as a baby, you latch onto him, and as you watch him grow, and as you watch his relationship with Will, and you see his journey, and you see what he goes through at the Ape Sanctuary, and what he goes through to get his apes to freedom, and then through Dawn, and then through War, and everything he goes through in those 3 movies, it's such a compelling arc with a character who has so much heart, but is also so worn, and also so relatable in a lot of ways, and has so many flaws. And I think it all just comes together to create a character that is, to me, without question, the best of the best when it comes to these movies, and that is why Caesar is number 1 on this list.
We will find a way out of here. Apes, together, strong.
So that was my top 10 favorite characters of the rebooted Planet of the Apes franchise. I love every single one of these characters, including the honorable mentions. I think there have been so many great, well-realized characters to come out of these movies, and we're only at number 4 with hopefully more to come. So I'm excited to see what other characters eventually get introduced, and I'm also excited to see more of some of these characters as they make their way throughout the next few movies. But I want to know what you guys think of my list. Do you agree with my picks? Do you disagree with any of my picks? Do you think some should have been higher? Do you think some should have been lower? And let me know what your top 10 favorite characters are from the rebooted Planet of the Apes movies in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out today's video here on Ape Nation. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. I'll catch you in the next one, so until then, goodbye.